Look how many toes this cat has.
Interesting.
It's so many toes. Oh, he's such a
news.
big old boy.
I don't like cats. Kia ora guys, welcome to the Wholesome Half Hour, episode 6 for 2019. I'm Sarah.
I'm Mackenzie.
And on today's episode, we thought, the year is starting to ramp into 4th gear, 5th gear, for those of you who know how to drive a manual car. And we thought we'd talk about balancing like school and your job or your social life and stuff. This is when those internals start to rack up. It can feel pretty stressful pretty quickly, and I know both of us are feeling that a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, I think all of our like inspiration for our like topics in recent weeks have been like things that we've been struggling with ourselves.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely interesting when like. I feel like it's a lot of it is actually okay, not a lot of it. It's all mental, but that doesn't mean it's easy to solve.
No.
But like when you're when your brain's being pulled, so you're doing 6 different subjects, so it's being pulled 6 different ways, and maybe in a class you've got a couple things going on.
Yeah.
And then once you add like school, social life, and stuff, your brain's being pulled like 20 different ways, and it's kind of like hard to. Just like break it up and like relax when you've got so many like different things that don't connect together in any meaningful way.
While Sarah goes and fixes the lights, that's been one of the biggest things, and I know everyone struggles to find their work, study, social life balance, and so that's why like in this week's Instagram post that we put up, we asked you guys beforehand, what is it that you feel that you struggle with the most, that you are over-investing yourself in things or under-investing yourself? Because I think
you keep going.
That's exactly what like that balance is. There's no you can overdo it and you can underdo it, and that almost makes it like harder again, I think.
And also sometimes I feel like we can actually be doing enough and feel like we're not doing enough.
And I think that that's a constant thing, is we are constantly led to believe or constantly feel that there's always more to do.
Yeah.
And while that is the case, like you can theoretically always practice one more exam question, like one more like flashcard or something like that.
Can you just write 5 there, please?
Yeah.
Just write 5 somewhere, just the number 5.
All right.
Thank you.
We always feel that there can be more. Just because there is more doesn't mean we necessarily should be doing more. And I think that that's the kind of boundary that we very often like fail to create for ourselves, is knowing that while there is more that can be done, knowing when to stop and knowing when and feeling satisfied with that. I think that that's something that a lot of people really struggle with as well, is feeling that what they've done is enough and that they're satisfied with it.
Yeah, just as a starting point, so today we ran a poll on Instagram and we asked you guys if you feel like you were not investing enough like effort into school, or if you feel like you were doing too much. And I can't remember what was the result on that.
So,
I mean, I could have looked at it myself, but thought I'd delegate out.
That's fun. I'll accept it.
If you click on that, it will show as a percentage.
Are you sure? So it's pretty evenly split, but 55% of you guys said that you didn't feel like you were going hard enough, and then 45% of you said that you felt that you were maybe going too hard.
Yeah. Which is, so it is...
We didn't give you an option that you were satisfied.
Yeah, no, so Instagram only has 2 options.
Yeah.
But like, and I feel like there's definitely 2 aspects to that. It's the legitimate, like, am I doing enough or not, which is a good question to be asking. But then it's also like trying to identify, like, if your assessment of yourself is accurate, like, are you saying...
And that's the hardest thing.
And that's hard, because it's hard either way. Like, you can feel like you're doing enough when you're not, or you can feel like you're not doing enough when you are. And like, it's an easy thing to do. It's hard to assess yourself. It's just like a fact of life. So I was wondering, I don't know, what do you think, can you think of like any good ways of kind of working that out for yourself?
I think for those of us who feel as though you're never doing enough, I think one of the biggest things to do is reflect on what you have achieved or what you have done, because I think quite often we can get quite caught up in the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and we often don't take a time to congratulate ourselves for the things that we have done as well. So I think it's acknowledging our successes.
Yeah, it's very easy to get to the end of a busy week and like feel like there's still so much left to do. And it's true, sometimes there is, and there's nothing you can do about that. But just like taking a moment to like look at your calendar, or look at your to-do list, or just even make a to-do list if you haven't had one already, of like the things you've already done. Yeah. Just to acknowledge that you've already done that, because it's very easy to I'll look at my calendar for the next week and I'll feel like, man, I'm so behind because like there's so much to do. But then I look at my calendar for the previous 2 weeks and it's like, whoa, I actually did all of this stuff. Yeah. And maybe I'm getting closer to the end, or maybe I'm not, but I've already invested, I've already invested and done so much successfully, and that's something that you should like take note of and be proud of. Yeah,
100%. And I think that is one of the things that we do really fail, like especially when we get caught up in doing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. It is very easy, like I said, to get caught up in that, and so you don't feel as though you're accomplishing a lot because you're always looking towards what is next.
Yeah.
I think that's my biggest piece of advice for those who sort of fall into that category.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? So so that's about like assessing, too much.
Yeah.
Or like feeling you've not doing enough, even though you are. But what do you think? Like, what are some like some key indicators of being like, I'm actually probably not doing enough.
Yeah. So actually, that's a good idea, because like a good thing to bring up, because we need to know how to like self-diagnose that kind of thing. And that's what really, I guess, like leads to that satisfaction part of it, is being able to like have a look at what you have achieved. I think in knowing that you've done enough, I think it's making sure that you've like met your deadlines. Like I think that's one of the biggest things is just making sure that you've done everything that you have committed yourself to do, whether that be like an assessment or just making it to training that week or something like that. Whatever your commitment is that you've made to somebody, regardless of who it is, I think making sure that you've met all those.
Yeah, and making sure you've gone through and actually done all of them. And not just the commitments you've made to other people, but the commitments you've made to yourself.
Exactly.
Like one of the good things you can look at is like look at your deadlines and look at the stuff you need to do. Like how much of it are you actually completing? Are you completing like all of it? In which case you're probably fine. Or are you only completing like half of it? Or are you missing deadlines and stuff like that? And that's probably a sign that you're not investing enough time, or maybe there's something else at play. But something is definitely not going right if you're missing a lot of deadlines, or you're constantly like getting it in like just before.
Exactly. And I think with that as well, what is really important is you not meeting your deadlines doesn't mean that you're not working hard enough. What it also might indicate is something like overcommitting yourself to too many things. So what that may require instead is you having a look at all the things that you have committed yourself to, and having like a serious, like I guess like corridor with yourself, and just saying like, is this reasonable? Is this sustainable? Can I do this over a long period of time? And am I prepared to? I think very often, like we think, like logistically I can do all these things.
Yeah.
But will I? And will I do this without feeling as though I'm putting myself to breaking point?
Yeah. Yeah. And that can be hard. You have to assess it like reasonably. Like there's nothing wrong with, every year, you have like throughout the year, you have 4 weeks, like once every couple of months where like you're actually like booked out like 8 to 8 every day. Like that's all right. But if you're doing that every week, and you feel all good about it, like that's fine. But if you're doing that every week and you're feeling like stressed out about it, like either you need to change that schedule, or you need to do something to somehow mitigate that. Because it's not like, even if you're achieving a lot, like it's not worth it if you're like going to be feeling like stressed out and on edge all the time.
Yeah. And I think ultimately like
it shortens your life.
Yeah, something's up if you are constantly feeling like you're stressed about something. And with that, you can then like look at that a bit more closely and see, well, what about this is stressing me out? Is it because I've got a bunch of different things that I'm juggling right now? Is it because like it's been a week and I still haven't done the thing that I told myself I would do?
Yeah.
Like, what is the reason why this is stressing me out?
Is it because like maybe there's not actually too much to do, but because there's no clear plan or order, or like because of that, like there's a lot of what we call mental like RAM. What's that thing called? Cognitive load. Like because you've just got it all in your head. Like your brain is like full up of just like constantly thinking about these things that you have to do.
Yeah.
And like something as simple as, you know, getting a diary and just being like, this is when this is happening, this is when this is happening, or just making a list and be like, I'm just going to do these things in order. Just having that, like being able to take that out of your mind and like put it on a page or put it in a book or like some sort of system, then you don't have to think about it as much. I know that's definitely something that that happens to me a lot. Is I'll film like 10 different videos and then I'll get stressed out because they all have to be edited and they're all different projects and you know, there's some of them have to be delivered first, but some of them don't. And it just feels like a lot when you have 10 different projects going on side by side. But just like something as simple as, and I did this earlier this week, like listing them all out and then prioritizing them, assigning the ones that need to be due by X day and the ones that don't, then it's so much easier because I don't have to constantly worry about it. I know this is the time in the day, 6 o'clock is when I do my editing. 6 o'clock I open the list, be like, oh, this one's the next one that's due. It's due in 3 days. I've got some time up my sleeve. I can do it today and tomorrow.
And I think that like preparation...
That was a lot of talking.
No, but that was useful. Like it's good. I think it is so important as well as when you have that organizational element of it, when you have your tasks prioritized, you know your deadlines and all that kind of stuff. Like I'm very good at having a plan but still being stressed, and that's something that I know that in myself I'm really working on recently is I have a plan, I've put some time aside to do this thing, it will be done, I have a plan, you don't need to stress about it. But like my mind's still like, you got it.
And if you've set a goal for yourself of like, I don't know, like doing 2 of these tasks every day, and you've been doing that for 3 or 4 days, there's no reason like tomorrow you're not going to get another 2 done. Like looking at your past performance and like applying that into the future.
I think it's like having that logical part of your brain, like have that conversation with that stressy part of your brain that's like, it's fine, man. We've got a plan. It's fine. We've got it organized.
Yeah.
It's cool. And you know what you're doing. Cut it out. Go to sleep. Like...
Yeah, just being able to, like, think about, like, how many times have you handed in an assignment? Like, I don't know, you might have done a lot. But for most people, it's, like, never or, like, not very often. So to assume that, like, something's going to change and all of a sudden every assignment's going to be late is like pretty unlikely.
Yeah.
Realistically speaking.
Yeah, I think it is also like...
I literally moved so much that the monitor's like, no, I don't want to be alive anymore.
I think it's like the same. Anyway, I think it is also that thing of being reasonable with yourself and giving yourself breaks and acknowledging like, hey, you know, you do deserve a break every now and then and you do deserve to relax and enjoy yourself because your work or your school work or your other extracurriculars that you might have, or even sometimes just like maintaining friendships can be stressful, let's be real, team. Like knowing that like you don't have to be juggling this all the time. You deserve to be able to do whatever makes you happy, what makes you relaxed, and you deserve to do that in a way that you shouldn't have to feel like you've got everything else playing on your mind while that happens.
Yeah, and realizing that like spending like 4 hours with your friends on a Sunday afternoon is going to make you just like happier and more excited to be alive, and that is just going to make you more productive in the other days of the week where you are working like most of the days. Like taking time out like that, like to see your friends, just for yourself to like sit in the bath for an hour if that's like what you enjoy doing.
That's definitely what I would do.
Like that stuff is totally like holistically it's going to like improve not just your happiness, but like when you're like more happy and you're more excited and you're not as stressed out, you're going to be able to do more things, do them faster, and enjoy doing them more.
Yeah, exactly. And finding that balance is hard. You know, work-life balance is hard. life balance is hard. And you can overdo it and you can underdo it. And ultimately as well, it comes down to what the balance for one person isn't going to be the same as another. I know I could never have the consistent work schedule that Sarah does. I can't even. Like I did, but like that's what. But like a lot of it is stuff that you enjoy as well. So like, but you're happy to take that on and consistently work at that rate, and like it is sustainable for you. Where like you
just because your friend can like do something, that doesn't mean you can or you need to or you should.
And that's that's something that we always want to say to like everyone that watches and stuff is. What works for you isn't going to work for the next person, and in the same way that what works for the next person may not be applicable for you.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine, and that just boils down to your boundaries, what makes you comfortable, what you feel is sustainable for you, within reason, obviously, but like you don't have to feel that the workload or the work output of one person means that you have to be at that same level.
Yeah, like I don't know, I have friends who like go to uni and they don't work and they enjoy that. I would hate that. But like that doesn't mean they should do what I do.
Yeah.
And like I know people who work like twice as hard or like for twice as long as I do, and I would find that really hard to do, and
that's why I don't take law.
Have to do that. Yeah, and I don't do law. That sounds like a wild ride. Shall we go through some of these questions?
Yeah. So we asked you guys your questions in terms of balance and all that fun stuff, and so thank you for everyone that did ask us a question.
Monique asked how to feel motivated to do homework after school. I know we've talked about this a little bit in the past couple of weeks, but I reckon with stuff like this, like. Don't look for motivation per se, but just like, I reckon like with something like something with getting homework done after school, I'm going to rephrase that for you. Like just having the discipline to come home after school and just work, like even if it's just for 25 minutes, and just like making that a habit. And if you do that every day, after a couple of weeks, it will become automatic. And just don't try to get all hyped up. Just say, 25 minutes, like this is a good thing to do. 25 minutes is, a small portion of your day.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on it.
All it is like that crappy first TV show that comes on after school anyway. It might just be the end of the chase, like legit. You could have that on in the background if you really wanted to at the same time. Yeah,
I reckon like just getting it done is kind of like underrated. But it's what professionals like do. Like your doctor, like how would you feel if like the doctor who was going to do your like surgery or like whatever like just decided, I'm not motivated today, so I'm not going to show up?
Yeah. Sorry, Mercury's in retrograde and I really just have to see my spiritual advisor to get my fourth house back aligned. Like
like they're professional, they just show up, and like you can apply that to your life as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think finding the motivation after school, I think it comes a lot easier when you know what you're planning on doing. Like, rather than just like 25 minutes is good. Like setting yourself like a time of how much you plan on working is good. But it's even better to say, I want to have 25 minutes doing a task. I want to complete the maths task that I didn't get to finish in class today. Or, I want to practice a question. Going into it with a goal of what you want to achieve is also very good because it helps you feel more accomplished at the end as well.
Yeah, no, totally. Sorry, I got distracted by a very amusing message. How do I balance studying with sufficient exercise? Firstly, like, I realized that like exercise doesn't have to take like heaps of time. Like if you don't want to, like you don't have to go to a gym. Like you can literally just like go for a walk for 30 minutes like after you finish school, or like go like do something like with your mates for like 30 minutes, or just like if you live like close to your school, like
just walk.
If you live within like 30 or 40 minutes of your school, like you don't have to do it every day, maybe 3 or 4 days a week. You just walk instead of catching the bus.
I used to walk to and from school like for a stint of my life before I got like my scooter.
Did you have a scooter?
Hell yeah. Wow. It was pastel pink. It was so cool. Anyway, but yeah, no, I did the walk to and from school, and it was like 40, 45 minutes every day. And like...
Both ways?
Both ways.
So 45 minutes return total.
No, total. No. 45 minutes one way,
total. Okay.
45 minutes back.
Yeah.
Cool. And like, I think often we like we feel like exercise has to come under this like umbrella of like getting into my yoga pants and putting on my muscle tee and turning up to Les Mills. Like, it's like,
I'm going to Les Mills after this.
that's fine though. but that's your chosen.
Yeah,
that's
like,
what
it doesn't
you
have to
like,
be
and
like
that's
that.
what works for you. And I think
it can be very simple.
Yeah, I think people like to overcomplicate the idea of exercise. Like, they're like, it has to be
Like,
this
just
big
go
big like gym session where like you've got your bro spotting you and like you got like your protein
just leave your
shake.
house
Like,
for
just
20
go
minutes
for
and come
a
back.
walk. Honestly, take your dog out for a walk. They'll love you for. Don't take them out when it's too hot though. You're gonna hurt their paws on the pavement. Don't do that. But like, yeah, just doing something simple like that is just like a good quick way of like getting outdoors and stuff like that. And you know, if you have a friend that lives nearby, like just walk home together or go out for a walk after school. I used to go on bike rides with my friends after school. It was so fun.
Wow.
It was actually so wholesome. But like, just small fun things. But yeah, and
I go on electric skateboard rides. Is that like the same thing?
no, it's an electric. It's electric. Don't even try. No.
Yeah, you still feel the wind blowing on your face.
I forgot that exercise was purely just that like wind experience. I forgot that that's what like made it. But yeah, no. So I think in terms of balancing it, I also don't feel as though with like setting like exercise goals and stuff like that, I feel like it's very similar to studying where you have to be reasonable with yourself and your schedule and what suits you. Because I know you can like start to really like beat yourself up if you don't feel like you're in like some consistent like habit or this consistent routine that may be unrealistic for yourself as well.
No, I totally agree.
And a good easy way of like getting in exercise consistently as well is maybe like signing up for like a social sport team or something like that, you know, where you've got that set time every week where you go to like a training and a game and, you know, you might go on a run for another day of the week or something like that. And, you know, that's like, you know, something as well. I think exercise doesn't have to look like, you know, like a full like exercise kit and like going to the gym or like, you know, going for like a really hard run or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
Keeping it simple and reasonable for yourself.
Yeah. I'm skipping heaps of these questions because a lot of them like cross over, but I reckon this is like a good one. How much time should I be dedicating to skill work on an average evening or afternoon?
I think that depends on the load that you have.
It depends on who you are, but like how do you think someone could go about assessing that?
I think it depends on. I think a good measuring stick of it is if you are in class and you have experienced that like quite consistently that there is a lot of content that you're not knowing or you're sitting in class and you're not clear of a concept. Then you will like it is really wise to spend some time on your own clarifying the things. I think if you're kept up well in class, that's a pretty good measuring stick. And you might have to do like a bit of extra work to catch up, especially if you maybe like missed a day of school during like due to like sickness or something like that. I think it's very much like being aware of where the class is, what you've missed, or even if you were in like a lesson and you just like didn't get the concept, taking the time at the end of the day to look it up, solidify it on your own so that when you go to your class the next day, you're not like behind or building on really like shaky foundational information because, you know, if you don't get what a metabolic pathway is, and the next lesson they're talking about, you know, like the actual process itself. This is biochat, by the way. Like you're going to spend the entire lesson just like kind of getting the information, but also not really understanding how it all clicks together. So I think that's my biggest kind of.
Yeah, I think it's like see where you are. Like, are you so see what you're spending at the moment, assuming you're spending some time. Are you objectively behind or are you objectively like on like keeping up? If you're keeping up, you're probably spending enough time, probably do need to spend more time. If you're not, like just slowly like increasing it by like, you know, 10 minutes and seeing at what point, you know, you reckon that you're like keeping up with everything.
Yeah.
I don't think most high school students should be, I don't want to generalize too much, but I feel like most people shouldn't need to spend more than like if you're using your class in time, if you're using your time in class well, I feel like most people don't need to spend more than 1 hour after school.
Yeah, I'd agree. I would agree.
Yeah, if you are, either you're probably not spending your time in class very well, or you might be not studying in a very effective way.
Yeah.
Because that's a trap that a lot of people fall into.
Yeah.
Rereading notes, not the best use of your time.
Yeah. Same with highlighting.
Good thing, or like just reading notes from a textbook. Good things to do: flashcards, summarizing your lesson. If you took 4 pages of notes like in a lesson, try summarizing it into a page or even like half a page.
Yep.
Just like the real core stuff that really gets your like mind to engage with the information.
The kinds of things that you have to engage with along the way,
Kinds of things that are hard.
Yeah, reading notes, for example, it's so good, so easy, not good, it's easy to get to the bottom of the page and just be like, I have no clue what I just read. My eyes like read words, and those words left my mind as soon as they I registered them, but I didn't take it in. And if you can see that your method of study lends itself towards those kind of like pitfalls, then it's probably not engaging a deep enough level of processing that you're really like getting the most out of your time with your study.
Yeah, no, I totally, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should a student be putting off sleep to finish an internal? Lisa.
How much sleep?
Yeah, that would be my question as well. They haven't said. If you're like, I don't know, like half an hour, 3 hours, prob's not good.
I would like to know the reason for that as well. Is that like karma for having not done it in class?
Yeah, okay, once or twice a year, it happens, sure.
Yep.
But if it's happening, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times a year, probably just like poor time management.
Yeah.
There's no, there's for most people, even if you're sleeping 8 hours a day, 8 hours a day, 8 hours a night, there's 16 hours in a day, you're at school for 6 hours, even if your commute's an hour each way, I feel like most people's is less, but let's say it's an hour each way, that's 8 hours, you still have, and this is assuming you're sleeping a full 8 hours a night, you still have 8 hours to play with outside of school, and that's not accounting for the fact that you can do schoolwork during school time.
Yeah.
So what are you doing with these 8 hours? And you don't need to be studying for 8 hours a day. Even if you an hour a day or even like half an hour a day, if you're actually getting stuff done, I find it hard to believe that you're going to have to cut into sleep when you have 8 hours a day to play with to get stuff done. I
think with that as well is if you feel that like this increased workload is out of your control, and something has happened. A teacher bringing a deadline earlier than you'd expected, or an assessment popping up without you realizing. If this kind of stuff is also happening regularly, the step that you may need to take in that case is facilitating some discussion with your teacher in terms of getting you up to speed with their expectations, their plan for the year. And on the off chance that it is the teacher who's maybe doing that poor kind of stuff with the class, not giving everyone enough notice, not giving everyone enough time, then that is the point where another kind of intervention needs to take place, because obviously that would be something that would be influencing the whole class. And that's when, that's the kind of thing that you need to make aware to your school.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. We will do a couple more questions and then we will depart, because we're filming on a Saturday today.
Oh boy, are we?
We've been working it's 3:30
when life gives
now.
You lemons.
I've been up since 7 a.m. I know you didn't get home until 1 a.m. last night.
I'm on 5.5 hours sleep and 2 cups of coffee.
8:30. I schedule something after this, so I have to stay here. Well,
absolutely.
Work-life balance.
Yeah. You shouldn't have told them that.
We're the best role models.
We're the epitome of a work-life balance.
Right. Yeah.
And in the comments below, tell us what you think we are. Do you think we're doing too much or not enough? How should we assess it? Let us know.
Yeah. How should I assess it? How should I assess the 3 things?
Excuse me. Sorry.
You can choose a question.
Oh, I get to choose one.
because making decisions is hard. I actually believe this is a thing. I reckon like making too many decisions, like slowly throughout the day, like chips away at your like just like mental energy. If you make too many decisions in a day, I reckon like you just like burn through. I like to like minimize decision making. So like I try to like streamline certain things, like like I always go to the gym, or like I always eat the same thing for lunch, kind of.
Loves Tommy's.
I used to be way more consistent, but it's I always eat the same thing for breakfast, coffee. Let's get Coffee Supreme's like slogan. We eat coffee for breakfast.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, so I've picked a question, and I think it kind of relates to a couple of the ones that we've got here. So, if you had to choose between quitting, what are you whispering? All right. Did you listen to what I whispered?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, yay!
Subway.
It was about Subway.
Yeah. I noted the timestamp.
No. So the question was, if we had to choose between quitting after school activities and a job, what would it be? So I know I wasn't involved with extracurriculars, but I worked instead. And like, I know Saren loves to rip me out every time I say I had 2 jobs, but like I did, but like I didn't have any other extracurriculars, so you could kind of like argue that like levels itself out a little bit. I personally felt that working was more important for me.
Yeah.
That was because I was saving a lot of money for uni. Like I had like that in my mind. However, I know that's not the priorities of every person. And I think what it boils down to is what is more important to you at that point of time. And I tend to think that as you get older, having like financial independence and that kind of stuff, or like having that more freedom becomes more important to you.
Yeah, I think like you have to see like what brings you satisfaction. Like I wouldn't like say like I don't know, like football or like band practice or whatever it is like your highlight of your week. Like every week you look forward to like going to it. I wouldn't ditch that.
No, of course, no.
But if it's like say you're already in like 2 different things, and like you're already in a band and you're already in a football team, and you do debating as well, and a job comes along and like you have to drop one of them, and like you just have to like just think about like am I gonna be excited to get like $120 plus like a week?
Yeah.
Like
the answer to me was always yes.
For us, like I forget, but like when you get your first job, it's really weird getting like 3 digits in your bank account.
Yeah, and
every week,
and you're allowed it. You can do whatever you want with it. That's so weird. That's a lot of It's
you can buy 3 Kit Cups a week, 4 Kit Cups a week.
I think it's one of those things that as soon as you've started working, you enjoy having the money, and I think once you've had like a taste of having that like freedom with like your money, or being a little bit more independent, being able to spend money, that's not something you really want to give up very easily. In saying that, I think there needs to be a balance between these kind of things. And if you are dedicated to extracurricular things and you look forward to them and you are excited for them, I don't think that would be good to give up either, because that would impact your own mental well-being. But yeah, I would say if you were somewhere in like year 10, year 11, I would maybe like stick with extracurriculars a bit more. Maybe like work like a couple hours a week, something that's pretty low commitment, doesn't impede upon your time too much, but you get like a little bit of money. I think with working...
Weekend shifts are always good.
Yeah, weekend shifts. Working is one thing with working, some extra unsolicited advice, is just like... in terms of extracurriculars and stuff like that, you do have to like set boundaries of when it starts and stops. I'm talking about this in terms of just like school jobs. Like if you're asked to pick up like an extra shift or something like that, saying, well, can I do it? Is this like a one-off thing? And, you know...
Is it something I want to do?
Yeah, I think... Is
it going to, like, down the line, am I going to regret this? Yeah,
and it's one of those things that we always have to consider will this make me happy? Is this reasonable for me? Am I stretching myself too far if I accept this? And this links into some of the other sort of questions that we got where people are saying, they struggle to say no to things.
Yeah, and like if you sign up for a job and like in your contract you agree to take on one shift a week and you're doing that for a few months and they ask you to take on another shift, you're
not obliged.
You're in no way obligated to take that on. I mean, if you want to, like, feel free, but like you shouldn't feel forced into it, and like you shouldn't just take it because like you feel like there's some sort of like obligation. Like if you are comfortable with what you're doing, like, and you don't want to take on more, there's like nothing wrong with that.
And I think the thing to bear in mind with that as well is just keeping that perspective of school is my priority right now. I'm invested in my education. I want to do well for myself, and what my job is or my extracurriculars, regardless of what it is, those should be second to that. And so I think it's always like keeping that in mind as like your main priority.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Should we take one more question? And then
one more question.
As you can see, I'm in a very sound state of mind.
Okay. I mean, no, but yeah. So how to not let problems in your personal life affect schoolwork?
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's hard, yeah. No, I agree. It is, like, if like something's getting you down or something's bothering you, it's hard to focus. Like,
yeah, 100%.
And I feel like even just starting off by like acknowledge.
Itchy boy today, eh?
Yeah, I've had this for like 3 weeks. The skin's starting to dry up. It's not good. Yeah.
Some wild
skater boy accident. Like just starting off by acknowledging that is like a good place to start.
Yeah, I think constantly trying to like bury it or constantly trying to like put it off is only going to impede yourself more, like if you are trying to focus on something else. So like even if you do just give yourself 5 minutes to like wallow in how crappy something might be that like you are experiencing, sometimes giving yourself that time to like think that through, that 5 minutes will mean that you can like focus on your next task a lot more because you've maybe like organized something in your mind or thought something through, and so you don't have these like very unordered thoughts like just swirling around your brain while you're trying to do schoolwork.
Yeah. And like it's a lot of the classic stuff that people talk about that a lot of people like dismiss without trying, like actually does work somewhat. Like none of these are like magic tricks, none of these are going to make all your like problems disappear just like that, but they do help. Stuff like before you start writing an assignment, if you've got a lot on your mind, just like spilling it out onto a page and like throwing it away. Allocating like a worry time later in the day, and just like whenever those thoughts come up, being like, I'll revisit this at 7 p.m. in my shower when I can cry, or like being or stuff like like just doing a meditation like 5 minutes a day, and just learning how to like let thoughts like come and go without entangling your mind. Like the stuff, like there's no magic, there's no like secrets in life, there's no like magic tricks. Like common wisdom works. And it's not like you click your fingers and all your problems go away, but you do these things like again and again, and slowly over time, like they become like skills, like meditation. Like no one's like perfect when they start, but over time you get better and better at like just letting thoughts come and go without letting them bother you all the time.
And I think on the back of that as well, it's if for example, like if something's happened in your personal life that is really, really distracting you, I think what is really important to bear in mind is taking stock of what you can do, not what like you could have done but no longer can. I think quite a lot of time we spend like time saying things like within thought cycles such as like, I wish I hadn't have said that, I wish I hadn't have done that, like, or I should have done this better. And it's kind of pausing that for a bit and thinking, okay, I've done something that I'm not happy with, or something has happened that I'm not happy with. What is the most positive outcome I can do from here? Because there is no point in like stopping or letting yourself wallow over what like could haves. You need to focus on like what you can do to make the best of the situation that you found yourself in.
Yeah, like just realizing that, like if you've broken up with someone, like realizing that like now, like is there anything that can be done? Like probably not.
Yep.
And like just not trying to like think like, oh, if I did this differently, it would have worked out like all right. And sure, it might have, but like you can't do anything about it now.
Yeah.
And just accepting that is like very important.
Like for example, like last night I realized I hadn't printed something else, but I should have. And like my solution, like I was like, wow, that was stupid of me. I shouldn't have done that. But like, what will I do to make this up?
Yeah.
And like that was like my immediate thought, because like if there's anything that I've trained myself in, it's like not to go over like what ifs and like should haves all the time, because it is such an unproductive way of going about something, unless you're thinking, well, what would I do next time if this situation were to occur again? I mean, and in these kind of situations, they're not often things that will be like repeating again. Like you're not going to be like, wow, in my next breakup, I'm gonna like, it's if it's the kind of situation, like for example, like, you know, you're stressing because you've like left something to the last minute. Well, there's no point in continuously thinking, I should have started earlier. What you need to do is make a plan of what you're going to do from here, but also reflecting to yourself, well, what will I do next time to ensure that this doesn't happen again? Or what should I do for next time that will make it a much more successful experience? Because only then will you actually begin to improve on things.
No, I totally agree. Awesome. Thanks so much for listening to the Wholesome 40 Minutes.
Yeah, we're really going to need to, yeah.
Yeah, we have time management is great skill.
This is why we're filming on a Saturday.
If you have any favourite bits from the show, you should let us know enter the timestamp below. Tell us what you liked about it. If you have anything you want to ask us for next week, or you have anything you want us to talk about, you should let us know as well. Drop us a comment, send us a little IG DM. But yeah, thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great week ahead.
Yeah.
Stay motivated, stay wholesome.
And thank you for everyone that asked a question as well. You know, the show lives for your engagement. So yeah, have a good week, guys.
See you later.
Bye.